good, fast practice in there today. Guys were taking the next step, and I like their response. I really do. And for how they went about getting things done today, and we got a lot of things going on now the rest of the day in the meetings and stuff as we go back over stuff, and even player meetings where they have meetings today to go back over how they exactly see things. And there's a good communication process going on with players versus players, players and coaches, coaches, players. And that's a good deal. And we've been doing that here anyway, but I have seen that pick up a little bit. And it's been good to see that on the field, and hopefully it transfers into the Sunday on the field also. Questions?
With those injured guys, do you feel good about them, and did they get through the week okay?
They did. Yep.
Excuse me, Scott.
Go ahead.
Oh, this is off the game, but I'm working on Dorsey roster building, and earlier in the week, I think it was you said that you have a lot of respect for the way he operates. But what are the things that goes into the way Dorsey operates that give you confidence that he's putting together a roster?
He's from this league, grew up in this league. He's been around some very good, influential people that were good for him when he played and played this game at this level on some good teams. And then who he worked with that taught him the parameters of building a team too. And that's been very good. And again, like I mentioned, I can't remember whether it was last week or this week, is, he and I have had a relationship for a long time, back even from the playing days to the early scouting days. And he's a tireless worker. And he's also a person that is not afraid to ask opinion. And those are important. You have to get as many opinions as you can. You're never going to be foolproof. It's never going to be a foolproof thing. But the more information that you can get, the better the process is, and hopefully the fewer errors.
This was a tangent while you were preparing for Kansas City, but it crossed your mind on some level that Dorsey was the guy who put together the new
Talked to him every day. Yeah, and had him talk to people here too from a scouting report perspective. And there's certain things we already knew, but there's other little bitty nuances behind the scenes, yes. And that information was used, yes.
Do you have a left tackle decision you're able to tell us?
It could be either one. And we're just going to go into the Sunday with that, but they're both rolling.
Offense help take some of the load off of that injured defense you have?
They did a good job last week. And, the thing is that any time, whether it's the way we are now defensively or the way anytime, is that offensively you want to be able to control the clock, time of possession, and have gone against lots of different people throughout the years where one of the best things in the world was to make sure, certain quarterbacks were over on the sideline for long periods of time. And that's what good offenses do when you're also calling and managing games in a synchronized way. Offensively, they did a pretty good job of that last week, and we have to do a better job of tackling and playing the way we're supposed to play on defense, regardless of who's playing the positions. Okay, it doesn't make a difference. If you're at this level, you should be able to play. Okay, that's what that's what everybody else, helps with the rosters and everything. You should be able to play, and we've got to do a better job in some of the fundamental aspects of that.
Is Myles taking over and dominating games the way that you need him to?
He's doing well, and again, this would be, and I knew this year would be a year of when he's playing, because he's physically fit and doing really well on that. But now you're starting to see, and he'll learn, and he is week by week, how teams game plan for him. Until you're known, they just assume things, but now there's specific game plans towards him. And then now what we have to do to counter and what he has to do to counter. And that's just a learning process. It gets better and better and better through experience.
What does that mean for him? I mean, is he consistently doubled or?
No, I mean, what we would say is protections are slid. So there's more than one guy there. There's an added, what we call, it's a chipper or a nudger or an extra guy there. There's some of those. But that's not all the time. So the times that it's not, take advantage of it. And those are the things that as a player you see. And this might, every single time the offense lines up, they're telling us what to do. Can you see? And then the more you play, the more you see, and the easier it is for you at this level. It's different. It's a different game until you get to this level here. And he's doing a very good job with that. Each week he's doing a better job with that.
You guys, Philip and Jermaine, coming along and learning concepts.
Good. You know, they're fine, and they're smart enough and have impressed us on the time that we're spending with them. You know, some of the coaches aren't getting as much sleep, especially with me. You know, I've been having more meetings than they've ever had for a while, but also I tell them all the time with a smile on my face is that if you don't want to listen to me in a meeting, have a player to talk to. So what they do is, and I tease them all the time, well, you schedule a player, so you didn't have to talk with me, huh? And what they, you know, we started meeting with the guys at 6 a.m. this morning, you know, the new guys. And when they got off the plane, you know, we were meeting with them. And we have to do that to get them ready to roll. Football is football, but it's a different language. So all of a sudden, what's the term we're using? How do we call this? And then is there a different way we go about playing a particular concept of scheme? And how can we help you do that? And get everybody on the same page as good as we can, and then now cut them loose and let them play.
Jannard Avery handled the more linebacker reps with the injuries you've had there as opposed to...
Each game, you know, it's become eye-opening with him, but we've had a plan where we've been going with him the whole year. It's not something that maybe you guys don't get a chance to see as much, because he's been practicing in those things all the time, because you have to be ready for it any time in the year for the next man up, for him to be off the ball more. So that's been really since he's been here. We've minimized certain things that he had to do, but then started maximizing that stuff really when the season started. So it's been going on for several weeks, and now it's time to produce in those other places.
The Chiefs, coming off the game on Sunday, surmised that you went to cover 2 and stayed there for a long time because of the injuries. Now, you know, of course, you don't reveal strategy and all that, but the question would be that you did what you had to do when Ward went out and you had the injuries. Does it make a big difference in the nuance of what you were able to do with the defense, being able to prepare for?
Yes, we'll be able to do some more. We should be able to do some more. We have been doing some more, and but when you're in the ball game like that, that's what I've mentioned to you before. It would be not very smart for me to call things that I like to do when they can't do it, and getting people settled down on how we had to change to do a few things last week, just keeping people settled down from the minimal reps that they had before. They've got more reps doing more things this week.
What's impressed you about Chubb in his rookie season?
Say it one more time.
What's most impressed you about Chubb in his rookie season?
His toughness, and at no time has he had big eyes. He's a tough guy, and his pad level is good too, and don't want to jinx him, but his ball protection is pretty good too. And that's a huge part of this league, much more than it is at the level when they come out of college and high school anymore, because of all the spatial things that's going on with spreading people out. Very time are you swarmed with multiple people at those levels. At this level, with the ball in the middle of the field, the hash marks aren't the same. The speed of the players are much more relative, that he's protected the ball well. Don't want to jinx him, but he's protected the ball well.
Yesterday he had to learn to be more than just running the ball at this level. How do you assess how he's picked up all the other things in responsibility?
Protection, pass receiving, all that can be overwhelming at times, and he hasn't blinked. He has enough intelligence to process that, and then we as coaches have to have enough intelligence not to overload him, and they've done a very good job with that. Freddie has done a very good job with that, being the coach anyway for those guys, so he knows them pretty much inside and out.
Yesterday that you had, a message for Baker to kind of cut it loose. Did you have a similar, or have you had a similar message, sort of reset message for Antonio Callaway now that you've taken?
All of them, and again, I'm glad you asked that. It's not just Baker. It's in the team meeting. It's, I bring things up for everybody in the room, and then you can personalize that for yourself. But I bring things up for everybody in the room. We all have to take the next step of improvement, and no excuses. And that's not. I say that. That's somewhat not easy for some of these young guys. They've made excuses their whole life. Stop making excuses, okay? We all have to accept responsibilities and go. And He's with a good leadership group in that room, and I think Adam's done a very good job with him also. And then the next step with him is being able to make some more explosive plays because he has that in him.
We talked to Myles a couple weeks ago about this, but I don't think we ever got your thoughts on it. But regarding the offside penalties that he's been getting, he said that he'll it's kind of something he is okay living with because it's part of the
Fine line.
Yeah, it's part of the territory. So what's your stance on that?
Get off is extremely fine line. Want them to be as anticipatory as we can. Can't hurt the team. And again, one of his mentors in life too is Bruce Smith, and he had a problem with that too. I tease Bruce all the time. Every time I see Myles get off, I blame it on you. And so when Bruce is around, and he and I have a great friendship, but there's a fine line to that, and he is getting better with that too. And you got to block out the noise, you got to block out the cadence, you got to block out some other things, and he's improving in that area. But we have to minimize those situations of a new set of plays, a free set of plays.
What do you make of the Atlanta running backs that have been getting extended play with Freeman out, and how do you plan on stopping them?
They've done a very good job with the increased workload of those guys, and all those guys have done well with time on task and pretty much understand the stretch and the outside zone running scheme that they believe in and how they go. That goes back to a long time ago, and I know the originator of the scheme. Used to be at the Kansas City Chiefs back in the early '80s when he invented that particular run scheme that's now has rampant in the National Football League and college football too. But they've done a very good job with improving week by week in that area, and I thought they were at their best last week. So we've got to do a good job with understanding what they want to do and not let them do it.
At some point across the last 10 days, while you've had time to being the head coach again settle in, has it struck you that you almost laugh about how much you know now that you didn't know when you were coaching at Buffalo?
Every day should be a learning experience, and when you ask that, I have a goal, and sometimes people shake their head when I say this, but I won't walk off the field one single solitary day without learning something new. Now, how do you do that? How do I do that? How do I process that? If I'm as observant and semi-intelligent, is watch how a player handles something, watch a situation, watch a player respond to something. And that becomes valuable on how you're helping other people later on respond in the same way. So, sure, experience helps you understand what maybe is really important and what's not, and it's about making sure the players are comfortable in what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then try to mimic as fast as you can the speed of the game without having unusual contact or unusual injuries in practice. That's been good, and I learned that the hard way, and just growing up through the league and what we do on that, and have been able to apply it here, and guys are comfortable with that.